Hello, whoever's listening. I just had to give you some of my own perspective, some commentary on what I'm seeing with Alan Hostetter and the events of his reawakening of the last few weeks, into which he's on this kick and jag about he's going to find out all the bad actors and expose them. You know, I don't know what exactly is Alan's thing. What I'll say is this: there are a lot of things that aren't adding up about Alan, and I want to point out some very important red flags to me. It's going on 5 years now that I've been involved in this activism, and I originally got involved. Initially, one of the major things that got me involved was the stand downs. Beware the stand downs. That's when you have law enforcement or just red-blooded Americans not stepping up. No one doing what they're supposed to do to be good stewards of the country God has given them. And when law enforcement swears an oath to uphold the Constitution, and then local PD in Democrat municipalities allow hardline Marxist extremists to assault and abuse patriots, they are not only betraying their oath, they're betraying the country with a stand down. So when I saw these law enforcements being neutralized, these law enforcement agencies standing down, I and many other Americans, red-blooded Americans, said, you know what? Somebody's got to go out and demonstrate that we have a right to free speech and a right to the public square. So Breitbart said, politics is downstream of culture. I believe culture is downstream of the streets. If we don't have a place in the streets, if we don't have a place out in the public square, then how are we going to affect culture? If we don't affect culture, how are we going to affect politics? Now, the deep state would like us not to show our faces anywhere in public. The deep state are unelected officials. I'm not talking about the selected officials, which I think are selected and not necessarily elected. But the deep state is actually purely unelected officials, like Fauci, for instance. He's been in office or his position since Ronald Reagan, so 7 presidents. That's the deep state. Somebody that's not accountable, somebody that's not elected, but holds a very prominent position of power, or just a position behind the scenes that's powerful. And they are not accountable. They have not been elected. The deep state would like us to stand down, because we, the people, being seen in real life activism is a threat to them. That's a threat. So, Alan Hostetter, I've seen these, he talks about bad actors. I've seen these bad actors injected into the movement over the last almost 5 years. And the recurring theme, because pattern recognition is important, the recurring theme is individuals that come in and try and neutralize our momentum. They try and halt our in real life activism. They try and discourage us from being, I don't know what you would want to call it, vociferous, voicing strongly our opinion. They want to tone it down. They want to moderate our activism. They want to, now, this is the deep state, and these bad actors, they both want the same thing. They want us to tone it down. They want us to become moderates. These bad actors, they are centrist extremists. Centrist extremists. They want us to go to the center. They want us to reach across to the other side, like the rhinos, right? These people, they are radical moderates. Radical moderates. If they are on the right and they see BLM come in, They will say they have just as much a right to be here as you and I do. We are all here for freedom of speech, and I support their First Amendment right just as much as I support ours. This is the libertarian, right? The moderate, libertarian. This is the moderates. They don't actually support people on the right, though. They'll virtue signal to the left about the BLM, these Marxists, they have a right. Even individuals that were present at deadly car attacks in Yorba Linda, where a patriot got her head run over and a man got his legs run over, so the bones were sticking out of his shin. They're okay to be there. But then if anybody says something like, hey, those are BLM people, someone like Nick Torres, hey, that's BLM leadership right there. They were present at the deadly car attack in Yorba Linda. Suddenly these people are like, no, whoa, 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 whoa. And they're standing in front of the BLM with their hands up, like as if they're catching something being thrown at them. But the only thing being thrown are words. Mean words. That's what's being thrown. Accusations, recriminations, truth bombs. Someone is lobbing truth bombs at BLM, but these radical moderates or centrist extremists want to stand in between their guests of BLM Marxists from the other side. They're honored guests. They're going to stand between them and anybody to the right of them that's going to say, hey, this is not acceptable. BLM is very intolerant. Very intolerant. These moderate extremists are very tolerant. Historically, time and time again, the pattern is the least tolerant wins. So when you have someone like Alan Hostetter sitting there preaching against extremism, people that are vociferous, voicing locally, vocally, loudly, their First Amendment rights and their freedom of speech to say, this is what I think of that person over there. This is what I think of their ideology. It's Marxism. Marxism is responsible for tens, if not hundreds of thousands of deaths last century. If they voice that and these centrist extremists hear it, they'll be like, hey, you might want to tone it down. That's a stand down. That is a stand down. Beware the stand downs. Beware the moderates. I mean, if you haven't seen, we as Americans, we've had a lot of things, major things stolen from us. 7 months ago, we had something big stolen from us. 16 months ago, we had something big and ongoing stolen and continuing to be stolen from us every single day. Every single day. I personally have had things stolen from me. My face, my lip doesn't work from all the head injuries. I've had the movement of my face, my neural pathways have been stolen from me. My mouth is crooked now from head injuries, from standing up. And I wouldn't change a thing. God has given me a country, a community, and most importantly, a family. That's my stewardship. That's my responsibility. Greater love has no man than this, to lay down his life for his friends. Those are the words of Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. If he said that about friends, what do you think he expects of you for what you would do for your family? What would you do for your family? I brought my family, my son, to MAGA movements. I wanted to demonstrate to onlookers what it means to be a patriot. I wanted to demonstrate to my son what it means to stand up. So that's just my 2 cents or 20 cents or $2, whatever you want to call it. But Alan Hostetter discouraging people from going to events is a stand down. Alan Hostetter calling out people that are more extreme than him, that shows he's a radical moderate. And these moves he's making line up exactly with the deep state. That's exactly the agenda of the deep state. So when you have a federally trained individual who's an ex-chief of police of La Habra, and he dismisses, oh yeah, well, the hurdle training I went to is just nothing. No, he's the establishment. He came from the establishment. So when you see him out there saying things, which he did say some radical and extremist things, like, we're going to hang these authorities from the trees. Okay, I never said that. The extreme stuff I said was to Black Lives Matter about how come they don't care about black-on-black violence. If 90% of African-American men in this country are killed by another African-American man, and maybe 5% that are killed by a white, and maybe 4% are killed by Hispanic, and then like 1% or less are killed rightly or wrongly by law enforcement. If you're going to focus on that 1%, and you're not going to focus on the 90%, you are not genuine. And a lot of the Black Lives Matter protesters don't know these stats. So me, Kim Sorgente, when I go out to an event, it's because for years I've been blocked online. For years I've been deplatformed online. For years when I say these things to people online, they block me, they unfriend me, they throw me out of groups. But when I go IRL, in real life, to an event where we're demonstrating our First Amendment right, and the radical left shows up, all these misguided NPCs, they show up to counter-signal us and attack us and work themselves up into a frenzy and a rage and think that they have the moral high ground and think they got us right where they want us because they're going to tell us a thing or two. They are so uninformed that this is a golden opportunity for me to lob across the line some truth bombs. Maybe I can just reach one. Somebody that hasn't heard anything of what I've said because of the echo chamber they live in. If I can just reach just one, that one person can change the world. I'm trying to crack the conformity. And when I go out there and all these collectivists are sitting there on the same page in their echo chambers, repeating the same NPC mantras over and over again, they've never heard what I'm saying. So like when I said that like on May 31st, I was in Huntington Beach, May 31st, 2020, and Black Lives Matter showed up, and patriots from Huntington Beach stood up. We all stood up in the middle of the street and formed a human chain, and Black Lives Matter did not get into the downtown. And I was saying things on my megaphone, quoting them stats and truth bombs. And then I left and went straight down to San Clemente, because Huntington Beach and San Clemente were the two targets by the deep state and Black Lives Matter that day. And they were the two cities just happenstance coincidentally to be the two cities that rebelled against Governor Gavin Newsom's lockdown orders. So they became the targets of Black Lives Matter. So I left Huntington Beach and went to another rally where Black Lives Matter was protesting in San Clemente. And when I showed up, I saw maybe 20 locals sitting there across the street in the shade on the sidewalk in dismay, watching 400 to 500, mostly females, mostly Hispanic females. So I guess they drew the pool from the colleges, the universities, but mostly young people, mostly female. I didn't see very many African Americans. I think maybe a handful out of the 400 or 500, maybe 10. But they were sitting there shouting all these mottos and mantras and recriminations against San Clemente. And I got on my megaphone and started saying my thing and triggering them. And when I was done, Alan came over to me and said, "Dude, you got balls of steel, dude." And he took selfies with me and he shook my hand, and Irvine Morton Smith did the same. There were about like half a dozen pictures taken with me. People wanted to take pictures with me. I don't take these compliments well because I don't do it for the recognition. I'm not a grifter. I'm not making money off this. I spent a lot of money over the last 4 or 5 years doing this passion of standing up for my country. And that's what I do. And Alan complimented me on it on the 31st of May. Exactly 6 days later, BLM threatened and came back to Huntington Beach to attack Huntington Beach. We had the screenshots. They were saying they were going to rape the women. They were going to burn the city. They were going to really screw it. They were really going to F it up, right? So we showed up again, and they showed up again. And this time within our side, within our ranks, we had a lot of radical moderates. Even though 6 days prior, we had been very successful. But the deep state doesn't like that. So then what happens? 6 days later, we had been there at the 31st of May, Sunday, the 6th of June, Saturday, we're there. And I remember there's this gal named Cassandra, and she was trying to fight me. And there was this wannabe tough guy named Mick Sobchak, or Michael Sobchak. And he's like, hey, what do you call me? Hey, Pugsley. Hey, Pugsley, come here. Now, I already spotted this dude a mile away because this isn't my first rodeo. I've been doing this for almost 5 years. So I saw him sizing me up. I saw him come over and stand in front of my megaphone as I'm talking and then act like his ear hurts. I've seen the left do that countless times. And I'm like, then don't stand in front of a megaphone, doofus. And Mick did that. He stood in front of my megaphone and acted like it was too loud for his little ears. So I said, I'm going to have problems with this guy. He's already pretending like he's offended by me, by my freedom of speech. So I sized him up, I scanned his body, and I saw weakness in his legs. And I said, okay, if the moment comes that he tries to approach me, I'm ready for him. I'm not going to be intimidated. I can physically take him. So sure enough, saw it a mile away. He comes up. Hey, Pugsley, you need to shut up. Come here. I want to talk to you. And I said to him, not if you're going to insult me. No, I'm not going to come to you. So he approaches me. He's like, you need to shut up. I was like, no, I don't. This is America. I got a First Amendment right to say what I'm saying. So you need to back off. Oh, yeah? Well, I don't like what you're saying. So I said, okay, look, here's the deal, dude. Let's not talk about this here. Let's go somewhere else and talk about it. I'll be glad to go somewhere else with you, and we can talk, we can discuss it. You want to go somewhere with me? Yeah, let's go. Oh, this and that. And then it was like one of those hold me back things, and the ladies that were with him like, no, don't go, Nick. And they're pulling him. And he's like, yeah, I'll be glad to go with you. I said, all right, let's go. And I started to walk. I walked about 10, 15 feet. I turned and looked, and he wasn't coming. He was going the other way. He had no intention of going with me. He was what I would call COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO. So that's Alan's friend. And Alan even approached me and told me I needed to be quiet and tone it down and stop saying these mean things I was saying. And then I think it was like that night, Mick posted that the things I was saying were racist. That's a leftist tactic. These people are to the left of me. And anybody to the left of a right-winger is a moderate. I can't say they're full on the left, but they seem like that to me. But maybe by modern day standards, a moderate is someone that's slightly left of center. But I'm just telling you this. My experiences, my discernment, what I've seen over the years, every single time these bad actors come in, they're always pushing for moderation. People in Mick Sobchak, people in Alan Hostetter's camp, people that they think alike with and gave platform to, calling for us to see Black Lives Matter as our brothers and sisters. Now, these gentlemen, they've done military service, I think. They've sworn an oath to office. They know what fraternizing with the enemy is. When you call radical Marxist extremists your brothers and sisters, you are fraternizing with the enemy. Jesus Christ said, who is my mother? Who are my brothers? Whoever does the will of my Father in heaven, they I will call my mother, my brothers, and my sisters. Black Lives Matter is not doing the will of our Father in heaven. And Alan Hostetter, the Buddhist, is not doing the will of our Father in heaven. His call is for us to be scared. The Bible says Jesus does not give us a spirit of fear. God does not give us a spirit of fear. All right? That's what the enemy operates in. That's what Satan wants to do. He wants to inject fear. And the deep state wants to inject these fear mongers into your movement, into your activism. And they want to discourage you from being vocal. They want to discourage you from saying anything too controversial, like pointing out the hypocrisy in Black Lives Matter, not caring about the overwhelming percentage of black on black caused homicides out of the entire number of African Americans killed in this country, and their ignorance of those stats. Even Larry Elder discusses that. This is not radical thinking. This is not racist thinking. I love black people more than they do, more than Black Lives Matter does, more than Alan Hostetter does, more than Mick Sobchak, the radical extremist, does. Because I'm willing to tell the truth. I'm not an enabler. I'm a truth teller. And if you're telling people their comfortable lies, you're an enabler. You're not a friend to them. I'm a friend. So I'll leave you with that. Mill it over, digest it, and remember, the stand down is what they want. They want you to stand down. Just like with last year's big, thing where we had a certain person we wanted to win. And what happened? The circumstances were that individual was not allowed to have rallies and demonstrate the tens of thousands of supporters he had. How are you going to perpetrate a fraud if in real life people can see with their own eyes that the support is there in the tens of thousands, a stadium filled with tens of thousands of people, 20,000 people, thousands outside the door can't get in? When you have another guy who's got dementia that can't even fill like a high school gym. So they forced a stand down last year so that people couldn't go out and show what's really going on in real life. That's what the deep state hates, is our demonstrations in real life. They hate us standing out there in view of the public world. They can cover these things up, they can hide it, but people that are there in person know, and word spreads. The deep state doesn't want that word to spread. These unelected power brokers and officials. And I'm saying again, and I'll say it again, beware the stand downs, and beware the pushers of the stand downs, and beware the pushers of radical moderation and centrist extremism. Because I'm telling you, in the face of tyranny, moderation is extreme. It's extremely uncalled for. It's surrender. In the face of tyranny, centrism, Jesus said, I want you hot or cold, or I'll spit you out. So if you're in the center and you're a moderate while all this stuff is going down, you are of no use to me. You are no use to the stewardship that God has given you. You're no use to anybody except for those that want us to tone it down, us that want us to stop, those that want us to stop, and those that want us to tone it down. I don't consider them part of us, even though everybody sees them in our ranks. All right? They that want the stand down want you gone. And this is just a foreshadowing. Their next step is to make it so that there's no one that'll come out in real life. Right now, they just want to stop you from coming out in real life. But in the future, they want to end you so that you're not there to come out in real life.